So
Yeah.
let's back up a second because it's Black Friday today, and to last night, and share with me share what happened last night and what your thoughts were as you're watching this unfold in regards to CME and silver.
Okay. So basically, you guys, like the US, had the Thanksgiving holiday, right? But Globex, which is the COMEX after hours trading, so your nighttime, it started trading 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's my understanding. So if I'm incorrect, somebody can correct me. But like, it started trading at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's the Globe X, which is the COMEX after hours trading. So everything, seems to be okay. Gold and silver was going up a bit. And then all of a sudden, I saw that the um, the futures price at the COMEX versus the spot price at the LBMA was almost at a dollar contango. What that means is that like it switched from backwardation to contango, meaning that the futures price all of a sudden flipped and went higher than the spot price. Now that's significant because when it's in backwardation, which means the London price is higher than the COMEX price for silver, it made economic sense for authorized participants at the COMEX to ship silver from New York to London. Because of course, right? London is more expensive, New York cheaper, right? So they made money. It covered all the transaction costs, shipping costs. Then they shipped it, like from New York to London, and that makes sense for the last month because, as you probably know, Michael, the COMEX vaults, at least on paper, had all the silver, had a bunch of silver, but LBMA at one point last month, according to Robert Gottlieb, executive at JP Morgan Bullion Bank, said that it was down to zero free float of physical silver. So, like I said, back up a bit. In the last month, situation was in backwardation. London was more expensive in terms of silver than COMEX, so they shipped the silver, they bought the silver at the COMEX, or they stood for delivery of their contracts, and they shipped it to London. All of a sudden today, that flipped. Okay, I saw that flip, and it was $1 more expensive, almost $1 more expensive at the COMEX after I was trading versus the LBMA. So that would be bad news for the LBMA. But then within an hour after that happened, futures trading at the COMEX was halted, like it stopped. And then shortly after that, the CME group, like they're the ones who operate the COMEX, they came out and said that they have a bunch of server failures at the CME. Okay, like where these transactions or these automated basically like futures contracts are being transacted are held. These server farms or server
Like
rooms,
a data
and they're
center,
saying
a
that
data center,
yeah,
Eric.
data center, right? And they're saying that it overheated. So that's why it stopped. So like of course, for the people like myself who were still awake because I'm in Asia, we were trying to find out what the heck is going on, and Dario came out, and Dario,
Yeah,
he's one of your guests, and
yeah.
he said, "Hey, wait a minute, guys. The official explanation doesn't make any sense because like this data center is pretty new and they have like a lot of redundancy and they have like really good cooling systems. So it doesn't make any sense. The official explanation doesn't make any sense. Somebody came out and basically said that and it makes sense what he said, which is this is after hours in the middle of winter after hours where there's not that many transactions. So why would the servers fail in this scenario, right? So anyway, the bottom line is we don't believe we don't believe that official explanation. We still don't believe that. right now, even though now it's up and running, supposedly. And then options, there are no bid on options for some reason. But the transactions for gold and silver futures at the CME is back up right now.
So a couple questions that I have. My first question is why couldn't they have just routed the transactions to a different data center?
Um, that's another question that somebody raised out. That person said, he worked at these data centers and he operated like, these tier one or tier two data centers. And his question was that, in a situation like this, where it's tier one, you would have redundancy. So like you said, Michael, why would it shut it down? It would have like, it doesn't make any sense that this thing is being shut down beyond like 5 minutes, for example. It should be up immediately after 5 minutes because there should be redundancy. So I can even read it for you, right? The person said, I worked in this specific field of in IT, having an order book down more than 5 minutes for me is impossible at their level. They're not beginners and they have tons of money to have a resilient IT architecture. Having such a system down for 1 hour is complete BS.
Second question is so all futures trading it was all halted.
Correct. For more than 6 hours, if I'm correct.
What did you think then? As soon as you saw this, what was your first reaction?
I thought they shut it down. I thought they pulled the plug. That's what I thought when I saw it. And then a couple of hours ago, before the New York opened at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time or 8:30 in terms of like the futures, somebody in China posted this. Do you see on my screen?
No, not yet.
Okay, I shared it. Should be up.
Still not. Oh, there we go.
Okay,
Wait, no, it's not. Oh, there
so
you go.
yeah, so one of my Chinese followers shared this. He said the rumor out in China is that an AP, which is an authorized participant at the COMEX, and I added or the LBMA or both, because he didn't actually specify which exchange, stood for delivery for like 400 million troy ounces, which is around 12,441 metric tons of physical silver. So rather than default, the bankers pulled the plug, and they're now trying to figure out what to do. So that was a couple of hours ago.
Okay, and I saw that post. Explain that to me like I'm 5 years old. So rather than default, the bankers pulled the
Yeah,
plug because
yeah. Well, it's plausible, right? Because like I tell you, Michael, um, guess how much physical silver free float there's in the entire world right now. Like let's be generous and account for everything. My buddy PM Buck on X, he went through all the different exchanges and subtracted all the silver held by ETFs, etc. And he came back with 20,000 metric tons of silver for the entire world. Okay, free float, and that was like 2 weeks ago. So if you account for the drain in the last 2 weeks, we probably down to 15,000 metric tons. Okay, so the report of that, what that guy in China said, the 12,000 metric tons is pretty close to the entire world's free float of physical silver. But let's say at 20,000 tons, guess how much that is worth at $50 per troy ounce? It's worth 36 point.
you cut
Okay,
out. You cut out, Eric. Say 36 point what?
yeah, sorry, $36.8 billion US dollars.
You cut out again. You still there?
Do you,
Okay,
yeah,
36 point. I
I'm
heard
still there. Do
36.
you hear me, Michael? I
Now I
said
can't. Now I can't.
30, first 36.8, $36.8 billion.
Okay, got that. So,
Okay, you got that? Okay. So basically, my point is that now the silver price went up a bit, couple bucks, and the free float went down a bit, right? So let's say we're still at like 36.8 or like 37, doesn't matter. 36.8, 37, or $38 billion, right? Something like that. In the big scheme of things, Michael, is that a lot of money for the entire world's worth of free floating silver? Below, let's say below $40 billion.
uh,
Considering the fact that, like, let's say a tech company can be like one tech company is worth more than $1 trillion, right?
right. So it's not a lot of money.
There's not a lot of money, right? So rather than say that this theory or rumor is totally out in the woods, I propose that I think it's very plausible. But I look at it from another perspective. What I mean by that is, why did it take so long for this AP or whoever it is to push the button to stand for delivery for the silver if silver is a critical mineral?